Welcome back to Pause 2-3, reminding you that your power is in the pause. I'm your host, Jen, the purple and gray haired Nana of the internet, because life is too serious to not have some fun along the way. This is your space to explore the shadows and connect with your light. Some episodes it's just me, other times we'll hear from guests who've walked through the fire and come out stronger. Together, we'll share stories of resilience, healing, and hope. So take a breath, hit pause on the chaos, and come home to yourself. This is Pause 2-3. Let's illuminate the path together. Today's episode is titled Perception, Vulnerability, and Power Reclaiming Control from the Inside Out. That's a mouthful. If you heard our last two episodes, we've been talking about vulnerability. First, why we fear it, and then how it connects to healing. Today, we're closing that loop by looking at something even deeper. How perception shapes the way we experience vulnerability and ultimately our entire lives. So let's get into it. When we think of taking control of our lives, we often think of toughening up, getting smarter, working faster, working harder. But the shift really happens in the opposite direction. Vulnerability is not a weakness. I'm sure you've heard me say that many times before if you've been with me on this journey. Vulnerability is data, it's depth, and it's where your truth lives. And how you perceive it, that determines your freedom. If you choose to see vulnerability as a failure, you'll hide. And if you see it as exposure, you'll armor up. You'll put up those walls. But if you see it as honesty, courage, perhaps healing in motion, this is where you step into your power. Because we all know that we can't always control what happened to us or what is going to happen to us. But what you can control is the story that you attach to it. So let's talk a little bit about reframing as a form of self healing. Reframing is more than just positive thinking, it's emotional sovereignty. And what does that mean? Sovereignty is self rule. I never knew this word until now, until I started getting into this journey of awakening and coming home to myself. Sovereignty means you are the authority of your own mind, emotions, and story. It's not your past. That authority doesn't belong to other people, and the authority doesn't belong to your fear, although sometimes we definitely allow that to happen in our lives. But when you're sovereign, you don't want to wait, and you don't have to wait for permission to believe your truth. You don't need permission to believe your truth. You don't hand your self worth to others. Your self worth comes from within. And that's where perception and vulnerability meet. Because when you're vulnerable without a grounded perception, it can feel like walking into the fire. But when you're vulnerable with sovereignty, now, now you're healing. So listen to these two things here to sort of put the spotlight on the shift. Instead of saying or thinking such things as, my pain makes me broken, what if instead you were to say and think, my pain is showing me where I'm healing? Or what about this one? I'm too sensitive. People quite often will say, if you are an emotional person and you care, people may often say to you that you're sensitive. So you may start to think and even believe that maybe you're too sensitive. So instead of saying, I'm too sensitive, what if you were instead to think and say, my sensitivity is insight. It's my emotional intelligence. Sensitivity, let it be your emotional intelligence. See the shift? That's where the shift comes in. So here's the hard part when others don't match your growth. Others might not meet you at this level. And this is something I've talked about many times in my videos and in this journey is that everybody is on their own journey and everybody is healing or not healing in their own time. And that has nothing to do with you. Okay, so they might still see your vulnerability as something to mock, to ignore, or even to try and manipulate, especially if you're dealing with somebody that has some narcissistic traits. I use that word hesitantly because I think it's overused a lot these days, but we're going to go ahead and talk about how perception becomes your shield. So you might say to yourself, I won't shrink to make them comfortable. I might not be safe with them, but I can be safe with me. And safety here means that you're able to express yourself, you're able to have emotions, you're able to cry when you need to, you're able to say, hey, that kind of hurt what you said. Can we talk about that? Or I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can we discuss it? Or plain and simple, I'm not allowing this type of behavior into my space anymore. You're not being cold. It might seem like it at first, and they're not going to like it. But what it is you're being clear. So, as you can see, vulnerability isn't just about being seen, it's about how you see yourself when you're wide open. When you shift how you perceive those moments, you stop fearing them and you start owning them. When you shift how you perceive things, that's what reclaiming your power really looks like. So, this might be new, this might seem a little different, but I encourage you to keep a curious, open mind and allow yourself to practice the vulnerability. And I challenge you to be mindful of your perception moving forward. Okay, because remember, you don't heal by pretending you're not hurt. You heal by choosing how you carry what hurt you. And that choice is power. Thanks for taking the time to be with me, to take a breath, to reset, and to take a moment to turn inward. Your presence truly does mean the world to me. And if something in today's episode spoke to you, please like, share, or leave me a comment. I love to hear how these words are shining a light in your world. And if you do share it, your support and spreading the light will help get this light to others, okay? So until next time, my friends, stay true to yourself, keep shining bright, and know that you're never alone on this path. Sending you much peace, love, and kindness, and we will see you in the next episode.